Up nice and early. Now, I think a lot of people don't know this, but The Spy Who Loved Me saved the James Bond series. Before we start, give this video a thumbs up. God knows I need it. The algorithm destroyed me a few weeks back with that election. So, you know what to do. And if you're not subscribed yet, go on. It's free. And comment below too. Honestly, nothing makes my day more than a cool comment or a conversation starting below. Well, let's stop stalling. The Spy Who Loved Me was released in 1977, but this story begins before then. The Bond series started in 1962 with producers Harry Saltzman and Cubby Broccoli, and it was all up from there. The Bond series was the biggest thing in the world. But in 1973, the series was in a weird place. Connery left after You Only Live Twice. Lazenby did the one film. It wasn't as commercially successful as they wanted. So they had to get Connery back for Diamonds Are Forever. Just one film to return stability to the series. We all have the uncle who says Sean Connery is the only James Bond. But it was now the 1970s. A new era. And the Bond series had to adapt. Move past the 1960s. Connery left the series and they found their new Bond, Roger Moore. But they didn't quite know what to do. As I said in my Peak Roger video, they sometimes made him a bit too much like Connery or unnecessarily violent, while also imitating popular film genres from the time. Blaxploitation.
Sure hope you make friends easy. Right on, brother. He's heading on in.
Or the karate kung fu craze. It's quite clear that this manifested in a slip in the box office numbers. Live and Let Die made 161 million, while The Man with the Golden Gun, a year later, made 97 million. That was less than Diamonds Are Forever. And none of those films had beaten the box office for Thunderball, a film made 9 years earlier. And during Thunderball, they made a Bond film every year back then. Thunderball was still the most successful Bond movie. The question was, is the series stagnant, dying? The producers had to regroup, figure out a way for Bond to resonate with the audience of the 1970s. This film had to be bigger than ever. Easy peasy, you say. Just make a kick-ass Bond film like You Only Live Twice. That's all you have to do. But there was a huge complication. Harry Saltzman was in trouble. His wife was diagnosed with cancer and he was struggling with depression. To make things worse, he'd borrowed 70 million Swiss francs from the Union Bank in Switzerland. That's about $40 million at the time. At the same time, he was on the board of Technicolor, a company in which he had a huge amount of money invested in. Over the space of 2 years, in 1972, the price of Technicolor stock had collapsed from $30 to $8 a share. Even with cash flow from the Bond series, Saltzman was put under a huge amount of pressure. And eventually, he defaulted on the interest repayments of his loan. Sadly, in the end, he was forced to sell his 50% stake of the James Bond series for £20 million. It's said to have caused a bit of a strain on the friendship when Saltzman wouldn't sell his stake to Broccoli, instead selling it to what became UAMGM. This has caused problems for the Bond series and will no doubt cause future problems again. Just as an example, in 2010, what became Skyfall, Bond 23, was put on hold until the bankruptcy of MGM could be resolved. Things were not looking good for Cubby. He was producing on his own, making a film which was part of a series that was seen to be stagnating. There was only one thing to do. Show the people Bond still had the goods. Make the biggest James Bond film ever. Turn the dial up to 11. They knew they had to make a big Bond film like You Only Live Twice. So The director of You Only Live Twice, Lewis Gilbert, came back, making a very similar plotted Bond film. The film's production was plagued with problems, but despite the obstacles, The Spy Who Loved Me started at peak Roger. It's probably Roger's best Bond film. It's got it all. A brilliant opening. Iconic henchman. Bond teaming up with a Russian agent. Egypt. That Bond 77 music by Marvin Hamlish. Lotus Esprit, an iconic villainous layer. Great cinematography by Claude Renoir. Ken Adams sets, including that climax on the oil tanker, which has a lovely story about Stanley Kubrick being involved in it. And all those one-liners.
What a handsome craft. Such lovely lines. Goodbye, Mr. Bond. You did want me to drop in. Where's Feckish? Where's Feckish? Pyramids! What a helpful chap.
What's happened? Where are you going?
Sorry, darling, something came up.
This film took the Bond formula and leaned into it. It knew its strengths and doubled down. There's those periods where the series has to reassess its tropes, like Casino Royale. And there's periods like 1977 where the audience just wanted a great big romp. It's no coincidence that that year is also the year one of the biggest films of all time came out, Star Wars. The Spy Who Loved Me went on to gross $185 million. It was the most successful Bond film of its time and broke the Thunderball ceiling. It truly began a new era of the series, which leaned into the camp and fantasy elements. But it also showed the series could be dynamic and change with the times. Although the series had changed leading actors, The Spy Who Loved Me was probably the largest single change in tone the series had seen from one film to the next. A tonal shift like that hadn't occurred since Dine of the Day to Casino Royale. It was sort of like a soft reboot of its era. It proved that the Bond series was willing and able to adapt to its times. Could be dynamic. The first film post Connery where both the leading man and the filmmakers were brave enough to step away from the Connery mold and try something new. And that's what made The Spy Who Loved Me so successful. And it's also why The Spy Who Loved Me saved the Bond series. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a bit of a difficult one, but maybe you'll watch The Spy Who Loved Me again now. And if you do, comment below and let me know what you think. Don't forget to shoot that like button. It makes a big difference to my ego. I'm told around 75% of people watching aren't subscribers. So if you're not, go on. It's free. But that's all for now. Thanks for watching. I'll keep coming out with a video every week. Bye.